My family tried to push me out of the startup I built, so I played a recording in the meeting. I spent 2 years working dead-end jobs and saving every dollar until I had about $50,000 for my startup. My family all had safe corporate jobs and treated my plan like a hobby. Still, when I showed them my idea for a software platform, they acted supportive. My dad asked real questions. My uncle said he could introduce me to investors. A few weeks later, it got real. My uncle lined up meetings, my dad sat in, and investors wrote checks. They wanted my family involved, so I gave my dad 15%, my uncle 15%, and my brother 15%. I kept the rest because it was my product and my risk. The first year was rough. I coded late nights, fixed bugs at 3 a.m., and lived on cheap noodles so we could keep paying people. My family kept their day jobs and mostly stayed out of the way. Then, in year 2, the platform took off. Clients started signing fast. Revenue jumped into the millions really fast. That's when my family suddenly had time. My dad quit his insurance job and showed up at the office with a big smile. He started walking into my client calls uninvited and introducing himself as a co-founder. If I was demoing a feature, he'd cut in and talk about our vision like he built it with me. I tried to brush it off, but it kept happening. My uncle left his tech job next. He said he was bringing structure. Within days, he was rewriting org charts I made, interviewing people without telling me, and moving budgets around. When I told him to slow down, he said, "I'm a stakeholder too, remember?" My brother was the worst. He showed up, demanded a VP title, and started bossing people around even though he couldn't explain what our software did. After that, I started paying attention. Conversations stopped when I walked in. My dad took calls in his car. My uncle kept scheduling strategy lunches I wasn't invited to. A calendar invite popped up for an investor meeting with my name missing. That same week, my admin asked why my dad wanted all my emails forwarded to him. I checked our finance portal and saw a request to add my uncle as a signer. My brother blasted a company-wide email calling himself VP of Growth and told staff to go through him first. Then my calendar filled with meetings I wasn't invited to. I confronted my dad and he said it was just networking. Then an early investor, Erin, called me sounding tense. She said my uncle had taken her to dinner and spent an hour saying he and my dad were the brains and that I only did the technical stuff and wasn't ready to lead. That hit me hard. I thanked her, hung up, and called a lawyer. Quietly, we reviewed the company documents, voting rules, and every signature my family had pushed in front of me. That's when it clicked. They weren't just being annoying. They were lining up votes to push me out as CEO and hand the company to my dad and uncle. Their combined 45% plus 2 small investors they'd been working could do it if they convinced the board I was in over my head. Here's what they didn't know. I'd kept 51% on purpose, and I'd kept control of the core accounts and product approvals. I'd watched my dad my whole life. When he wants something, he starts acting helpful. Then he starts acting like it was his idea, and then he starts taking it. A board meeting was set for Tuesday. My dad walked in wearing a suit. My uncle had a full PowerPoint titled New Leadership Direction. My brother sat there smiling like he'd already won. My dad stood up and said, "We think it's time to restructure leadership. The company's outgrown the founder stage, and we need experienced management." He looked right at me like I was a kid being sent to my room. I let him finish. Then I put my phone on the table and said, "Before anyone votes, you need to hear something." The week before, I'd left my laptop bag in my uncle's car after a late meeting. My phone was still inside, and it was accidentally recording audio. When I played it, my dad's voice came through clear. "Once we get him out, we split his shares 3 ways. He got lucky." My uncle answered, "The investors will follow us. We have real experience." My brother laughed and said, "I'm already picking my office." The room went dead. My dad's face drained. My uncle started stuttering about context. Erin stood up first and said, "I invested in him, not you." She walked out. 2 other investors followed and said they'd pull funding unless my family was removed completely. My lawyer slid papers across the table. My dad, uncle, and brother had 24 hours to sell their stakes back at their original buy-in price. No profit, or we'd sue for what they were trying to do. They signed, right there. I took back their shares and walked them out of the building. A week later, my dad called me. He left a message saying the bank was taking the house and family helps family. I deleted it before it ended. Now they're saying I'm cruel for playing that recording. Was I wrong?